We do want to say right off the bat that we are collectors, not investors. Please do not go investing money into things that we talk about because we are not financial advisors. So there's your warning. So Wes wanted to do this show. We talked about it. The reason you wanted to do this was because someone came into the store asking about it. So Wes, what happened on that day with that customer?
I was working at Level Up one evening, and a gentleman brought in his son.
Level Up Entertainment, 2 locations, South Jersey.
There you go. Summers Point and Mays Landing. And he brought his son in, and he started asking questions because of the whole, superhero movies that are blowing up. And he said, I want to introduce my son to collecting comics. How would we go about doing that? I said, general, easy answer is find something that you like, find a character that you like and that you think you would enjoy reading, and start there. And as you progress, you'll add more titles and more characters into your collection. And he said, well, how do you know what's going to be worth something in the long run? I was like, oh, okay, I see where this is going. I said, well, you really don't know. I said, you can buy a book now and it could turn around and be worth 3-4 times what you just bought it for immediately, or you may have to wait several years. And he says, okay. He says, oh. And then he said, well, what about video games? I said, what do you mean about video? He said, well, how do you go about collecting video games? He said, because, and he mentioned the whole Mario, Zelda selling for $1 million. He said, well, how do you know which one is going to be expensive? And I'm like,
this was in 2021, correct?
2021.
Okay.
The end of 2021. And so I gave him a quick how to be a collector 101 on both comic books and video games, but it started me thinking. I was like, okay, because why are you collecting? Are you collecting because you enjoy what you are collecting and you have a love for it, or are you collecting to make money?
Right.
So there, and that started our conversation between you and I. There are 2 different types of collectors.
Yes, there are.
Collector, investor.
I mean, right off the bat with the way he's talking, he's clearly thinking about it from the money aspect. I can't imagine there being any other way around it. I think he's getting, maybe he's getting his son into it, but the now what's the word I'm looking for? The game he's playing isn't for the games or the comics. The end game is to make money. It's
for the money.
Right. So the first thing I would have told him, I would have looked at my watch that I don't have, and I'm like, you're about 20 years too late, man. Maybe if you got here 10 or 15 years ago, you could do something, at least in video games. Not to say that you can't still make money. Clearly, people are making money off of that, but that has to do with a lot of BS, in my opinion, with market manipulation and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it was, there's a documentary called The Secret History of Comic Books. And there was one episode where in the 90s, people were buying books by the boxes and holding them and making comments like, I'm going to send my kids to college, on these books. And, I mentioned it before, people come in and bought tons of the Death of Superman book, thinking that they're going to get rich, and it's worth nothing. All those books that they bought in the 90s are worth nothing. I mean, granted, there are a few standouts, but no one got rich like they thought. And with the video games are so hard to predict. Who knows what's going to be worth what?
I mean, if you know the right people that are playing the game in the market and the way that they're doing things, you probably could predict it, which a lot of people that were involved at WADA made a lot of money when they weren't supposed to. At least, if they wanted to be decent human beings about it.
But yeah, again, it started the question. It's what's the difference? And some people don't know what the difference is. There's like, well, I collect games, I'm buying tons of games, but okay, but what is your purpose? So I think that's the difference between the 2.
What is your end game? Are you collecting it because you want to play the games and you like the games, or like even I don't even have time to play half the games, but it's just like, dude, I want to play them all at some point, but who knows if I'm going to be able to. But I love games. That's why I collect games. It's not like, oh man, this is going to be worth money, so I'm going to buy this. I don't know. I'll get games that are harder to find, not because it's dollar signs, because it's like I'm going to have something that's harder to find, and this might be like a really cool game.
You can, I mean, we've been doing this a long time. I think there's those rarities where you can kind of determine if a game is going to be rare or obscure or not.
You can, at least if you know enough, you can.
Right. For example, I bought Godzilla for a PlayStation 4. I bought it because I love Godzilla, and it's a game I didn't have, so I had to buy it.
This was an import. It was Japan only, correct?
No, it was American release. For PlayStation 4.
Oh yeah.
Who knows?
Dude, that game, I was worried at GameStop when that came out. That game I've seen in the store like twice. Like that's it. The day that it came out, and then we got like restocked once, and then it was gone. Never saw it again.
It was gone. It was gone. People are looking for it like crazy now because it turns out it's worth a lot of money. And I didn't buy it with the anticipation of it being worth money. I bought it and played it because I love Godzilla, so I bought it.
I'm with you, man. I bought. So the first time I ever noticed it, where I was like, I should get this because I feel like it's going to be harder to find. This was in probably the early 2000s. I might even have the receipt for it. I have to go look. But the game was Cubivore on the GameCube, which is one of the hardest to find games on GameCube. It was made by Atlas, and it was this bizarre, weird game that nobody bought. And when I bought it, GameStop, EB Games, whatever, at some point what they do with their new stock is it flips and it becomes used stock. And they basically take the shrink wrap off, send it to the stores, and slap a used sticker on it, but it's a brand new copy. That's what I have of Cubivore. And I didn't see the game for like a long time. And I only seen the game in the store maybe once before. And then this came in the store, and it had a sticker, had a used sticker on the back. I knew it was a new copy that was open, that they slapped the used sticker on. And I was like, oh man, Cubivore, I haven't seen this in forever. It's like, how much is this? I should buy it. I think it was like $20. Like, all right, I'll buy it, whatever. That game is worth like $500 now.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. But I did buy it because I thought it was rare. Like that was what I bought it for. But I didn't buy it like, oh, this game's going to be worth hundreds of dollars in the future, or thousands of dollars in the future. Because the way the market's going, that game will probably be worth $1,000 in 2 months from now, because it's friggin' nuts.
True.
But that wasn't my intention. My intention was I'm going to have something that's harder to find. So if I, as I collect more GameCube games, I'm going to already have this one checked off my list,
Yeah, a customer back in the day, Will, bought me Cubivore as a gift. And I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. He's like, yeah, it looked interesting, and I know you work here, but I think you would like it. He says, I know you wouldn't buy it for yourself. I'm like, probably not.
It's a weird ass game, people. Go look up Cubivore. It's the weirdest game you've ever seen. So Wes, was there any games that you picked up that ended up being harder to find that you can think of?
Yes. And going through and cataloging my games in Game Eye, which is the best app ever. And we keep
go get yourself some Game Eye, everyone.
They should.
It's
I just started following them on Facebook. It's great. I came across 2 games I don't remember buying. One is Ultimate Muscle for GameCube. And nice. I know it was based
that game's hard. That game is hard to find. Yeah, it's not hard to find. It's an uncommon GameCube game at the very least.
It's still sealed, and Blood Will Tell. I don't even remember buying it, but I bought so much stuff. I don't remember half the stuff I bought. I was like, oh, I mean, obviously I bought it because I still have it, but Blood Will Tell. It's a samurai game. Don't know why I bought it, but I did.
Oh, samurais. All right, I'll buy it.
Exactly. You know me, I was buying everything. And it turns out that, it's sad. It's sad. But again, you don't think about those things. We bought them because our love for games.
Bought all sorts of things, man. The genre, even like we would go outside of our genres and stuff. Like I own a bunch of RPGs because I'm hoping one day that I will get into JRPGs. And I don't own every JRPG, but I'm like, all right, I try to get the good ones. So if a switch flips in my head, I ain't gonna have to go look for it. I already got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, for example, since we mentioned the comic books with the customer, I've been collecting comic books for over 40 years, and since I was a kid, and one comic in particular that's blowing up over the past several years is Batman Adventures number 12, which is the first comic book appearance of Harley Quinn.
Oh, cool.
I bought the book years ago. No idea it was going to blow up. Fast forward 30 years later, the book is like a $1,200 comic book. But
Jesus.
Again, you have to. I had to sit on it for 30 years before it actually became worth something.
Right.
So again, when we buy stuff as collectors, we don't buy it with the anticipation of it going up in value. We buy it because we love it, and that's where our passion is, man.
Yeah, I mean, here's a good flip of the coin on that for you. So the other side is this, right? This is a game we talked about before. It's called Kokudo Kojin. It was an Xbox exclusive title.
Yes, it was.
This game got pulled from shelves, and most of the time when a game gets pulled from the shelves, it becomes rare, harder to find, and the value goes up. I just bought a sealed copy of this back in 2021 for like 30, I think it was like $32 or something, or like 30 to 35 bucks. A sealed copy of this game, which you would assume is harder to find. And you would also assume that price would be at least $50, at least what it cost back then. But no, it was sealed and it was like 30 bucks. And I only got it because an unsealed copy was like 25. It was like, oh, I'll spend $6 and get get the sealed copy, I guess. Why not?
I'm surprised you were able to find one. I thought they destroyed them all.
There was a few of them on eBay.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a perfect example of a game that should be harder to find, that should be worth something, and it's worth not very much at all. Let's call it what it is.
Now I remember the day that we were told to pull it off the shelf. For anybody who doesn't know, we were told to pull Kokudo Kojin off the shelves. It was a fighter. It was a one-on-one fighter from Microsoft, because one of the stages had Islamic writings on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were told that we had to pull it like immediately. This was like maybe a couple days after its release, maybe a week.
Yeah, it might have been out for like a week or so. It wasn't very long. At the most, it was like 2 weeks.
Right. It looked great. So we sold a few copies.
Everything looked great on the original Xbox, man. And this was made by it was at least from Microsoft Studios. I don't know the exact developer, but of course it's going to look good.
Was it a great game? Definitely not.
Mm-mm.
But it was a fighter and it was new and it looked good for the Xbox, so we bought it.
Yep. Well, I bought it. I bought it for less than you did. I got a sealed copy in 2021. Which was my point. Like, you never know what you're gonna get. It might go up in value, it might not. You're just, who the hell knows? But if you care about that, then you're gonna try to use your best interest. One thing that I do try to get, again, because this stuff's gonna be harder to find, not because of its value, is there was, if I see like a misprint of a game, like if the label is misprinted or something, I try to get those when the price is reasonable. Once they start going up, I'm over it. Like, I'm not going to spend hundreds of dollars just to get a misprint. But if I can get it when it's like normal price, I totally will.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not big on misprints. I could care less on that.
Gotcha.
I could care less. But even still, again, we were talking about the investors. The investors turn around and try to flip it to make a quick buck, whereas you bought it and you're still sitting on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a few different ones that have misprints. But again, like, I wasn't aware of misprints probably until like, I don't know. I didn't really start paying attention until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. So it's not like I've been doing this my whole life. It's like hunting down misprints. But I'm trying to become more aware of them. So if I see them and they're at a good price, I'll buy them.
Okay.